Hello everyone, this is Rita Holmes, independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and I'm here to bring you a video of just some easy cards I did with the Peaceful Place DSP. But before we get started, I just want to tell you that I have my November host code, which is right up here. I have my Facebook group, which is Stamp Crazy VIP, and I usually make a PDF of my cards, and I did not get that done today, or yesterday, to put on there. So it is not up there yet, and what I'm doing is trying to get my iPad set up a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Okay, but anyway, so I don't have a PDF, but I'll give you all the measurements. I was inspired by some cards I saw on Pinterest. I did them a little bit different, and as I was just scrolling through, being lazy one night instead of working on my stuff. But anyway, I have a website. That's my online store. It is ritaholmes.stampinup.net, and if you see anything you like and would like to place an order with me, I would surely appreciate it. And if not, that's okay too, and I hope you get some great ideas. If you would, please give me a thumbs up if you like my video. And if you learned anything from it, you can leave me a comment. If you didn't like it, you can also give a thumbs down. But please, in the descriptions, let me know what was wrong with it so that I can try to make the next one better. So with that all being said, and also there is a share button on there if you don't mind to share my video, that would be great too. Stampin' Up! Is going to be coming out with a new mini catalog come December or January. It goes live January 4th. I can't open it, but there's the front of it. So we're going to have that. We're also going to have a celebration again that will run January through the end of February. That when you place a $50 order, there's items in there you can get free, or free with a $100 order, some bigger items for that. So both of those catalogs are going to be available. If you would like a catalog, just please shoot me an email at ritaholmes0611@gmail.com, or leave a comment on my website, and I will try to get a I will get a catalog to you. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my cards, and I will give you the dimensions since I did not make a PDF. I don't know if you run over to my Facebook group and snag those PDFs out of the files, but if you do, right now there's not one of these, but I do hope to get that up. So our first card we are going to do is going to be this one right here with the northern lights in it. It's hard to see a little bit. I'll hold it up and maybe you can see the difference in there. I did use a blending brush on those, and I'm going to use a dauber tonight. And this is, the paper I'm using is this right here, and I just darkened it with my blending brushes. All of the printed paper comes out of the Peaceful Place DSP, and that will be going away the end of December. So if you like it, let me get it and show you a couple other pieces of it. I have everything on my table tonight, but this is one of them, and it has some foil on it, and then the back is just pretty plain. Here's another one that's got the foil, little trees on the back. And then this one, let's turn it this way so you can see it, has trees which you can cut up for cards. All of these can be good cut up for cards. That's just like a little diamond shape. That's the same one. Here's the one I'm using today on some of the cards, is the snowflake with the buffalo check in gray. Here are the cabins with a gold little design, I guess. These are just trees, and they have like a wood grain design on the back. And that is the papers that we are using tonight. And I just went with the papers. I'm using a couple of stamps just to mainly get the words off of them. And the stamps I'm going to be using are Campology. I'm going to be using the trees. And Enjoy the Moment. I'm going to use the words Enjoy the Moment. And then I'm using Happy Birthday. I am making these cards as birthday cards for masculine birthday cards. I think they look kind of masculine. So, you could always make them a Christmas card. I'm not doing Christmas cards. I'm going to focus on other things because I do believe that we're pretty well set in what we're getting for Christmas as far as stamps and what we're going to be using right now. And I can't get my paper to tear. Isn't that crazy? Let's get one out of the center. There we go. That's my scrap paper because I am going to make a mess. Love to be messy. So let me just put this one on top because that is the first one we're going to do. I will be using for this right here is this die out of the Beautiful Trees. That will be the die that we're going to be using. So here is our first card. Our card is 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half. Make sure you crease that really well. This is 5.25 by 4. And I'm going to measure it and make sure. Yeah, 5.25 by 4. That's going to be my background right here. And this is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, just to give a small border. This is 5.25 by 4. That's going to go on the inside of the card right there. I'm going to do the trees out of the Campology set. So the first thing we're going to do with this card is we're going to take our DSP. We're going to use the snowflake side. And I'm going to use my finger dumpers with Fresh Freesia. Granny Apple Green. I'm making sure I don't have any other color on my yellow. And Flirty Flamingo. Those are my colors I'm using, okay? So we'll get started with all of that. Let me pull those out. I'm going to start off with the yellow. So let's just, I'm going to ink that up really, really good. And I'm just going to put some lines in here with the yellow. There's some yellow lines. Let's do some Granny Apple Green, and I got to remember that this, I might not even need to ink that. This had so much ink in it. Let's just try. See, it's got a lot of ink. So there's some green. Didn't even have to ink that one. It was pretty full already. Let's take the Flirty Flamingo. We're going to ink that up and just... And I'm swiping pretty hard because we're going to be hiding some of this. So I just want it to be kind of... It doesn't look kind of bold on the video, but it is got a bold look to it. Now I'm going to use some Fresh Freesia. Just to add a little bit of purple. Whoops. We'll move those out of the way. We're done with that. Now what I'm going to bring in is I'm going to bring in my basic gray. And I'm going to bring in the blending brush because I want to make this dark like sky. I'm going to see what I have left in my blending brush already. And I'm just going to add, I want that to mainly be dark up around my edges. So I start off of the edge of the paper so I don't get that great big glob on there. I'd rather my paper be kind of globby than my cardstock. And I'm going to make this side darker too. I want this a really night sky up here. Then I'm just going to bring it down and I'm going to blend all this to kind of darken these snowflakes a little bit down here. But I don't want that as dark because I'm going to be putting my trees in there. And this still has ink on it. So, but I am going to just lightly go over my northern lights up there. Okay? So there we go. That is the start of our northern lights. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the evening evergreen. And I'm going to stamp trees along the bottom with my, these are the trees from the Campology. So I'm going to be using those. So I'm just going to ink that up. And I'm going to stamp off. And I'm going to stamp them all the way across to up here. And then I'm going to come down low and just add, I just want to cover this in really good. Stamp off with that, and I'm just going to kind of just tap that along and blend that in. I do want this tree looks really light. I'm going to make a darker tree up there. So that's my tree line down there. That's just our forest. I was shaking the table, wasn't I? I'm sorry. Okay, let's lay that to the side. We don't need to use that anymore. I'm going to take and I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to rub it. Because I put so much ink on there, I just want to see if there's any that's kind of wet. It looks good. Okay, what I'm going to do, before I put my stamp away, let me go ahead and stamp my trees onto my inside. I'm just going to take and stamp that right up here. There we go. And that just brings my outside of my card into the inside of my card to finish it off. And I like to do that, so that's one thing that I do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this into the inside of the card. I'm about out of glue out here. I need to bring another bottle out. I seem to go through a lot of glue, but I like it. So I'm just going to glue that to the inside, so let me just kind of make sure that's adhered. I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue my front onto that. Hate to cover up this buffalo check. I really love buffalo check. How about you? It is great. Okay, I'm just going to lay that on here. I'm going to turn that over and rub, and so that glue really settles onto that foil paper. Now I'm using the silver foil that I had left over from last year. They do have in their catalog the different colors of the silvers that they sell in a pack, but I just used what I had. Okay, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this to the front of my card. So we're going to glue that. I want to make sure it stays down good. So let's just put that on there. I'm going to turn it over again and just rub it, and it makes sure that that goes flat and adheres to the card. I don't know if you guys do that, but I tend to do that on most of my cards. Now what I did, I don't know if you can see on here because it's so shiny, but there's some white dots on there. And what I did was I took my jelly roll pen I've had forever, my Signa pen, and I want to make a dot up here. And I just took and made dots random. If I can get my pen working. And I just randomly did this. I didn't do any rhyme or reason. But in person, it really adds a lot to the card. You don't have to do this, but I just like what it adds. I like dimension looking, so I'm always doing something to add some dimension to it. So there you go. I'm going to put a couple right in here. There. So I don't know if you can see that. It really just brightens that up. Whoops, wrong lid. That was silly. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my craft white ink. I don't know if you have this, but it comes, when you buy it, it comes with when you buy the ink pad, it's uninked, and it comes with the re-inker. And then you can buy the re-inker by itself. This goes dry pretty quick, so you have to re-ink it a lot. So if you have it and it's gone dry, I don't think it's anything that you did, leaving it open. That's just the way that stamp works. So I'm going to take the happy birthday, and I am going to just ink it up really good with the white, and I'm going to lay it on my card. Hope I didn't go up too high. Oh, I'm going to restamp that. My H didn't turn out really well. Let's go down here. Let's turn it over. There we go. Okay, happy birthday. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to take my scrap piece of paper. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to rub. If there's any wet ink on there, it will come off onto my scrap paper. This is a pigment ink, so it doesn't dry as fast as your regular inks. So you have to take a little caution with it. I'm going to bring in my little mini embossing machine. I like it because I can handle it. So I like when a lot of these stamps will run, or dies will run through it with the stamps. So I'm just going to put this on here, kind of center it from side to side. I'm going to add my top layer, and as I do that, I need to pull that out just a little bit. I'm going to hold that down, and hopefully it's going to go through because it is warped big time. There we go. Need to turn it over. Woo. It's got a crack in it already. I've used it to death. So I have this. There's my die. Let's set all this to the side. What I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to turn it over onto the back. And I am going to, and I just saw them, so I know they're here. There they are. I'm going to take the black dimensionals and put a couple of them on here. Make sure I have that under the paper, but I'm using the black because of this being so dark. And then you'll just add this wherever you want. I tend to put them about right here. And that's your card. So that is a manly birthday card. that you can send. And really, this one doesn't even have to be sent, even though it's got some snowflakes on it. It makes a great winter card, but, you know, it's just kind of abstract on there once you get all this done. So there is that card. So we are done with that. Now let's go to number 2, which is this card right here. Now let me show you. I got another one of these made. Because of the way I cut my paper, you never know what you're going to cut out. I did use circle punches. Stampin' Up! Has discontinued them out of their catalog. You can use the circle dies, but if you have punches and they work faster for you, be my guest. That's what I did. But see how I just did the part of the, these open up like this. And that's just got part of the cabin and trees. And then this has like a little A-frame house. So I just decide once I get my paper on there on what I'm going to cut. Okay? So anyway, let's just set both of those there. I'll get my stuff out. Okay, for my card, it's 4 1/4 by 11. And then I am going to take my scoring tool, and I'm going to put this at 4 1/2, and I'm going to score it 4 1/2, and then I'm going to move it to 5 1/2, and I'm going to score it 5 1/2. So I have a 1-inch mark in here. And what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to fold on my 5 1/2 inch, which just folds this in half. So we'll do that, and then what I'll do is I'll take and fold this back on that 4 1/2 inch mark, which goes like this. And then when I glue that down, that will be the front of the card. It holds this down and this part comes up. But before I do that, I'm going to take my piece of DSP, and what I have here is a piece that's 5 by 4. And that way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the left edge. I'm going to cut 3/4 of an inch because that's going to go right here. And then I'll use the rest of it on my card. So I'm going to go over here to 3/4 of an inch. Put my trimmer down and just cut that. Okay? So now what I'll do is when I put this together, I'll have this piece of cardstock here. If I can get my thimble fingers going, that'll go right here. And then this little piece will go here, and you just kind of match it up where that goes with this. It makes it ongoing, but apart. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down. All of these cards are pretty simple. Pretty simple. And I've done this card before, but I'm just showing different ways to use the paper, not really on how to make a fun fold card. So I'm going to add that right there. And then I'm going to put glue on my sheet of paper here. And I wanted a lot of glue in there for when I cut out with my punch. And I'm going to try to line this up with these ends kind of matching, being at the same height. And just glue that down, okay? I'm going to turn it over like I told you before on the other cards, and I'm just going to give that a good rub. Now, I had some of this kind of twine stuff that Stampin' Up! Had out. It's not, this color is not available anymore. But I didn't have any gray ribbon. I want to use gray. So I'm just using some of my back stash that I still have. So I'm just going to make it, I'm going to double it. Let me cut that. Okay. And I'm going to just lay it inside here, inside my card, where it'll be in that fold, the little piece that's going to lay flat. So now what I'll do is just try to match my ends up kind of even so I can tie a bow. I'm going to get these up and pull on them. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to make sure that these are over this little piece right here, and I'm going to tie it in a knot first because this is thin enough I can tie a knot to kind of hold it tight, and then I'll tie my little bow. And I just pull that really tight, but I'll be gluing that down on the inside in a minute. So now I'm just going to take my twine and I'm going to tie a bow. I know some people say, well, you don't put a bow on a manly card, but you can. It's okay. So what I did with that bow is I took a glue dot and I just kind of, when I picked it off of there, I just kind of rolled it around to stick it right here for that bow to sit on. And that way it kind of held that in place right there, okay? So what I'll do now is I'll bring in my glue, and I'm actually not even going to use the glue. I'm going to use my tape runner. This is the Stampin' Seal Plus. And I'm going to add this, and I'm going to add it over the twine because it'll really hold that down for me. And right at the end. Doesn't look like it. I don't know what that was about, but I'm going to put a piece going this way over top of it. There we go. Okay, so I don't want none of that showing, so I'm going to push it over there. And I'm just going to take and lay that flat, okay? And just rub it, make sure that that seals that really well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my punch and I'm going to use a 1 3/4 inch punch. And I think I'm going to use the A-frame that's right here again, so I'll just put that in. Is that what I want to do? Yeah. You can actually take your papers and cut them to where you make sure you get a good spot, but I think with the trees and everything, I just like it all, so I just cut. So while I have this punch, I'm going to take this piece of scrap and I'm just going to punch another 2.5 or 1 3/4 inch circle. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 2-inch punch and I'm going to make this little frame that's going to go around it. So I punched the 1 3/4, so I'm going to put that back in and punch the 2-inch. And there we go. So that way we have this little frame that we're going to go around this with. My punch isn't the best, so it gets a little funky, so I have to kind of rub my edges. So this is going to go right here, but before we do that, I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of this. And I'm going to take and match it back up the way it would go in here. So I'll match those trees up. I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to open my card and push it through. Just push that through. And that way I have my little tree right there, or my little house right there. I'm going to take my little frame. I'm going to take my glue. And I'm just going to put some little dots going around there. Nothing too big or too wet, because I don't want it oozing everywhere. That wouldn't be good, but I do want it to stay down. And so then what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this. It makes it easier to see. And I'm going to just stick this on here. Okay. So that makes our frame of our card. Now I've got a scrap here, and I think I'm going to put this scrap right here. I'm going to put the happy birthday is going to go sideways on it, but it won't be seen, because in my other cards I can put it here, and I could trim it if I wanted to and put it wherever. But I think I'm going to go this way with a sideways birthday. And I'm going to do that in the basic gray, because that matches the card. All of the colors. I kept it really monotoned. So let's see. I think I will put it up here. And I just inked this stamp, so it's kind of wet. So we're going to take it on our scrap paper, turn it over and rub where that is, and pull it back up. That dries it, so we can add it to the card. So now I'm just going to add it to the inside of my card. And we just have one more thing to do, and this one will be done. So let's add this right here, right next to where that little fold is. And it'll be out of the way of our card right here. Make sure that's all down. There we go. So that's the front there. Now I'm going to take the craft white again, and I'm going to stamp Enjoy the Moment on this little piece right here. Bring my scrap in again, lay it down, rub, get any extra ink off of it that I don't need and don't want to sit here and wait for it to dry. So now what I'm going to do, let's put my glue up so it doesn't dry out. I'm going to take my scissors, my small scissors, and I'm going to take these words and I'm going to cut them apart. And as I do, just going to I don't think I got that really straight. There we go. So there's Enjoy. Now we'll do the. There's the. Now we'll do Moment. Okay, then we have all this little scrappy stuff. We'll throw that away. So I'm going to turn these over. Enjoy the moment. And I'm going to take the little mini dots. I just had them. There they are. I'm going to take the mini dots and just put one in the center of each one of these. Extra one came off with that. So let's put enjoy on. It's fun cutting the little words apart. I'm going to do enjoy. And then I'm going to put moment on, and then I'll put the centered kind of like in between them. These little white tags, I get them all over my house. So there's moment, and then we'll put the in between. Enjoy the moment. So there we go, and that's our little card there. So we have those done. And this one I need over there. These two can go over here. Now we're going to do this one. I saw a lady doing this, and I've done this technique before, but I've measured all of my stuff and, you know, made sure it fit just perfect and all that. She did not, and that's what I'm showing you is just how to do that. She used a couple of different other colors, but I'm sticking with the gray and the Mary Merlot in the basic gray. So let me get that out. Again, we have a card that's 5.5 by 8.5, and we're going to fold it in half. Then I'm going to go ahead, because my inside of this card is just a piece of where I cut the diagonal. So I can go ahead and glue my inside in and then put that on as we make that part of the card. So this is 5.25 by 4, and we're going to put that right here in the center of the card. I tell you what, if I get through this card, I'm going to have to get a new glue bottle out. I try to keep a lot of glues on hand. I'm a glue person. Okay, there's that. So we're going to set this to the side. We don't need it right now, so I'm just going to put it over here. Now what I have here is I have 5.25 by 4, 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and 5 by 3 3/4. I'm only going to use these two pieces at the moment, but I'm going to turn this over and have my check show. Okay, so with doing that, I'm going to glue this down. Let's just go ahead and put this on the card, and it just leaves like a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. It's not a big border. I didn't want anything big. Okay, now we've got these pieces, which are, I think this measures, I'm going to measure it on this, it's easier. Three and three quarters by 4 3/4. Yeah, 4 and what now? That's what the measurements are. 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. Yeah. 3 3/4 by 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. So this is 4 5/8 by 3 5/8, because that's just going to make a border on there. So what I am going to do first is take, and we're going to glue this onto the front of the card. And I'm going to match up my point right there, and then decide if I want this out, how I want my card to go. You can put it out as much as you want. I think I'm going to put mine out a little bit more than what I did before. So what I'm going to do is bring this over and add a little glue. Like so. Match that up, bring this over. Whoops. Might glue it down a little bit, what I don't want to do, just because I want to mess it up. There we go. So I'm going to turn this over because I've definitely got glue on the back of it. But I will just take I'll take my piece of scrap paper and just kind of, I just don't want to get my fingers in it because I'm going to cut it off. So that doesn't really matter. But I want that out of the way. So there we go. So what I'm going to do now is where this little corner didn't get any glue on it, so I'm just lifting it up and putting some glue down there, and glue that corner also. You can put this on your paper trimmer because you know what the measurement is here, and go down and down. I am going to cut it with scissors. I have just a little bit better luck, especially when it's tone on tone, because it's hard to see. But you can feel that edge when you're cutting with scissors. So I'm going to just cut that down like that. So these we can pitch. Now this we're going to bring in, and we know it's got about 1/8 of an inch border. So we're going to match it at the bottom and to the side. Okay. And on this one, we can put our glue right here, just making sure we leave enough of a border on these sides. So then you can just put this down. And your border is only going to be on your right-hand side and your bottom. So when you do that, you're going to turn this over and you're going to cut this off again. And there we have our card. Now I'm going to bring this in, and I'm going to glue it to the front of my card. So I'm just going to take it and bring it over here and glue that right there. If you wanted to, you could leave that open a little bit and maybe make it a little pocket to put some money or a gift card in. I'm gluing it flat down, but that's an idea. Whoa, don't be moving that fast. And I got a tiny bit of glue there that I'm going to erase with my glue eraser, which I use this all the time if you watch my videos, because I'm messy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add this to my card, okay? So let's do that. Oh, no, I'm not going to add it to my card. I'm sorry. I'm going to add it to my gray piece, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm just going to, it'll have barely a little bit of gray showing. Now I'm going to add it to my card. I thought, what's that big gray piece there for? Almost forgot. Let's take and just put this on our card. Now I'm definitely going to turn this one over because there's a lot of layers on there. And what I'm going to do to decorate this, I'm going to take, because I'm making it a winter birthday card, I'm going to take one of the holographic snowflakes. These are from Stampin' Up. You get like 24 in a pack. They're in the holiday catalog. And I'm just going to pull those loose. And I'm going to add this just to my card. I think, what's on that? It's a piece of a, there we go. I think I'm just going to add that, or do I want it up here maybe? I think I'm going to add this one right here instead of at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just put glue in the circle. That's right here. Because I don't want to pop this up because of the saying. It's going to be popped a little bit. So let's just add that right there, instead of all the way down at the bottom. I'm going to bring in a gray piece of cardstock. And I'm going to take the white ink again. I've used white ink more lately than I ever have. And I'm going to stamp that. There we go. Put that up, that up. Bring in a different piece of scrap paper and just kind of do that. Make sure it's dry. I've made some messes today, girls. Guys, whoever's watching, I have really made some messes. So let me bring in the embossing machine one more time. And we're going to cut out this little happy birthday one more time. And then we're going to be able to call this done. Just roll it back out this side. And there we go. We have our happy birthday. Move all this over to the side. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take our happy birthday and I'm going to add just my little mini dots to this one, because I have them out here. So I'm just going to put 4 on because they're little. And that's 3 different cards using the Peaceful Place Designer Series paper. With a few stamps. You can use any kind of sentiments that you might have, or even little decorations, whatever you want to use. You can do these in different, take these designs and use different papers. Got my fingers all stuck on there. Now I'm going to take that and put that right across where I glued that. And it says happy birthday. So that's a birthday card. I made 3 of them. We made this one. We made this one. And this one. So that is our 3 cards that we made tonight, ladies. Gentlemen, if you're on here. And I hope you enjoyed them. And like I said, you know, I told you the measurements. I hope you wrote those down. I will be having a PDF up at my Facebook group, but it might be a day, you know, a couple days with Thanksgiving coming. I want you all to have a happy Thanksgiving and be safe if you're traveling, and just sit down and kind of reflect on what you're thankful for this year, and give thanks and be grateful, and have a great time with family and friends, and we will see you again probably next week. Thank you. Bye.